Welcome to A Shock in the Dark. I'm the narrator. Tonight, coming to you from a city founded in 1902 and originally named Otis. For every episode of Season 5 of the show, I'm driving all over the United States, traveling to wherever your letters take me, and getting as close as possible to the actual locations mentioned in each story. That's why right now I'm in the Mojave Desert, on Calico Road in the city of Yermo, California. That's where tonight's letter comes from, written by citizen of Yermo, JP. Here's JP's story. Hi, A Shock in the Dark. My story takes place in Yermo, California. This is where I've spent my whole life so far. Growing up, my dad, who was a career Marine, worked at a nearby Marine Corps supply and maintenance installation while my mom took care of stuff at home. I hear horror stories from most people I know about their parents fighting and their parents ruining their life and divorce, but I have to say my mom and dad not only loved each other, but they were great friends with each other. Trust me, I know how lucky I am. I never minded growing up in a small town. Yermo is kind of weird, and if you're a young man, such as I was a few years ago, there's plenty of places to explore and ways to get into trouble for you and your friends. There's Liberty Sculpture Park, a lot of military stuff like tanks and all of that if you're into it. And Yermo was and still is a huge railroad town if you're a fan of trains, or if you just want to put a penny on the track and smash it. And we even have a real-life semi-fabricated ghost town right down the road. Oddly enough, my ghost story does not take place in the ghost town, but I don't want to be too specific. But there are some abandoned buildings me and my friends used to hang out at, kind of near the highway, the I-15 and Calico Road. Editor's note, although I don't know the specific building, tonight, I am set up inside one of these abandoned buildings, an industrial building where the story takes place. Back to JP's letter. Me and my friends liked to play army men around these buildings when I was a preteen. As a young teen, we would explore around these places for some odd reason, thinking we were going to run across some treasure or something, like somebody accidentally left a treasure chest full of gold when they closed down the machine shop or whatever was here. Later on, as a stupid so-called adult, this is where we did anything seedy. Smoking, drinking, bringing dates to make out. Throughout the years from being a young, innocent child to being 18-year-old nincompoops who thought we were cool, it was always me and my friend Ricky. Sometimes our friend Kevin would come along too, but he had a harder time getting away from the house, so it was mostly me and Ricky. Ricky moved away when he started college, and we hadn't seen each other in years. But in 2020, pre-lockdown, I got a message from him on Facebook saying he was going to be visiting Yermo and he wanted to hang out. And that's just what we did. Ricky hit town. Me and him went out for some really nice steaks, and about 10 o'clock at night, we met up with Kevin to have a few beers. Instead of going to a bar, we decided to go the cheaper route and pick up a couple of six-packs from the liquor store and go hang out at our old stomping grounds, those weird empty buildings we used to hang out in virtually the entire time we were growing up. So we all pile in Ricky's car and head out. We park on the far side of one of the buildings, hop out, and crack open a beer. We stood there sipping our beers, looking at the stars, when all of a sudden, there was the most brilliant, pure, white flash of light, like a nuclear bomb went off. For one brief moment, it turned this pitch black night into the brightest day you've ever seen. It was a natural reflex that I closed my eyes, but when I did, I still had the whole scene. Ricky and Kevin, Ricky's car, the abandoned building, all of this was seared into my vision like my eyes had taken a photograph. Now, this incredibly bright light lasted for only a second, maybe a tenth of a second, but the strangest part of it was there was absolutely no sound. Not the faintest sound at all. No blast wave, no wind. So this flash happens, and I can feel that my shirt is wet, and I realize that I'm laying down on the ground, still holding my beer, but because I'm laying down, it's poured all over my shirt. I look around, and Ricky is standing up, wiping the dust off his clothes, and I ask him what happened, and he turned to me like he was about to answer, but ended up not saying anything. What do you say? What the hell happened? Kevin is laying on the ground a few feet away. I stumble over to him. I ask him if he's okay, and he was snoring. I'm not sure if that's because he got knocked out or he simply fell asleep, but Kevin eventually gets up, and we all discuss what happened, but none of us has even the flimsiest idea as to what that could have been. Each of us had only just begun to sip our beer, so we were totally okay to drive. So we all hopped in Ricky's car, and it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it's 3:48. I'll never forget seeing the clock in the car, because somehow we lost about 5 hours. 5 hours that I can't account for. And I just want to know, what kind of ultra bright, silent pulse of light can knock you off your feet for 5 hours? I'm kind of hoping it's a military thing, because that seems like a solid weapon to have at our arsenal. But to be straight with you, we didn't exactly dig into it and Sherlock Holmes what happened. But we did do a tiny bit of cursory investigation just to find out what we could, and now there were no military or commercial flights in this area at the time. So that automatically eliminates flares or landing lights or anything like that. It wasn't Venus or the full moon or a blimp or a drone or a weather balloon, and obviously not a nuclear bomb. So there's just no telling what this was. So this is my last attempt to find out. I'm asking you to read this on your show, and hopefully somebody will know. Please, if anybody has had anything like this happen to them or heard about this happening to somebody, I would deeply appreciate any info you have. I guess if you send it to a Shock in the Dark, they can pass along the info. And Shock, we do appreciate you out here. You do a solid job. Thank you for your time, JP. Wow. Thanks, JP. We certainly appreciate the time you took to write out your story and send it. And anybody listening, if you want to be loved by me and nobody else but me, please support this channel. Support my dream of being able to create content for a job. Just send me your story, write a comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. These are the ways we can work together to save the channel. Or, at least give me some gas money. And the Shock in the Dark U.S. tour continues. Next time, I take the show to glamorous, sparkly Las Vegas, Nevada. Till then, I'm the narrator. Thanks for watching A Shock in the Dark. And good night, whoever you are.